Hey everyone, today I'm going to start a series analyzing European club news, right? There will also be some South American ones, but there will be 30 analyses of various clubs in various competitions. Why? So we can put our tool to work and so that it can learn more and more with every passing day. So what are we going to do in these analyses? We're going to analyze the competitions in which these clubs were involved. All right. We will analyze these clubs, looking at their performances in the competitions and identifying what actions we can take to enhance these teams. This will encompass both a quantitative analysis, where we examine the data and also focus on the transfer market, considering how we can acquire players to strengthen these teams, okay? So this is SmartDecision Football Analytics. It's a tool that I created. If you don't already know me, my name is Jorge Motor. I have a master's degree in big data and game analysis and scouting from the European University. Okay. Therefore, I created this tool to partially address the limitations of the old tabloid system. The reason is that existing tools, not being specifically developed for football, require significant effort as they are resource intensive and time consuming to adapt to the demands of this sport. Tabloid, I think, is a bit more time consuming than Power BI. It takes more time to build something, especially for football. Tabloid, I think, can do things faster, okay? But I won't go into that now. So let's go. Now, if you aren't familiar with our platform, here are some videos explaining it on our YouTube channel. But I'll just quickly overview this front part here today. So here we have 4 data import boxes. In this first one, we import the competition data, all the data in averages, okay? Okay. The average of each metric that each team had and also the opponents had over them. It's in this second box here that we import the players' data. I imported nearly 12,000 players here so that we can conduct this search of the market, you know. This is individual analysis. Practically nothing is imported here. If you want to input the data for your team's players or possibly some players you're observing individually, these could be players you are conducting a sort of scouting on, you know, for a potential shadow roster. You can put them here to easily track their progress from one game to the next. And there's also this last box for game analysis of the teams. So here I uploaded some teams from the Italian league. So let's go. In this first analysis here, we're going to analyze the Italian league, okay? From the Italian league, I separated the teams. Lara, Atalanta, and Fiorentina. We're in the 36th round. There are still 2 rounds left. It's possible, therefore, that things change among the top 6 participants. There's still a chance for a shift in this competition, okay? But it's already clear that Lazio won't qualify. Well, Fiorentina was quite below par, okay? And Atalanta is fighting for it. I also included possible analysis from Milan and Juventus. And I might do some more towards the end, right? But first, let's talk about Lazio today. Let's discuss Lazio. A team with a very rich tradition, consistently challenging for a place in the top 6. This year, they were a bit below par. Taking a look at the table here, we can see that Lazio was a team that scored 39 goals. That's a very low number. If we compare to other teams, we're talking about at least an 11 minus goal difference compared to Atalanta, which is within the top 7. For other teams, the difference was more than 20 goals. So the team that could have fought for top 6 finish had a much lower goal tally, although their defense functioned reasonably well, okay? But in terms of goals, so that we can analyze them, the first thing to do is improve the attack, right? Theoretically. So let's go to the methods here. What does the analysis tell me, okay? So let's go. First, here in our inspection chart, the first one I put here, I put successful passes per possession and average recovery. I'm not going to go through that now since we've already noticed that the focus, the area we need to improve is in the attack. But we can go through another area first, okay? We can go to comparisons here, okay? Some players here. Let me clear these players here, which will generate new ones in a moment. Clear shadow teams here too. Clear all shadow teams, okay? Let's go to comparisons. What comparisons did I want? I'm going to put Lazio here and say that I want to fight for the top 6 next year, right? I want to fight for the top 6. Right, so I need you to tell me what it was that enabled Juventus, Inter Milan, Como, Roma, Atalanta, and Napoli to better than Lazio. I'll put it here. This is a search for players, okay? But just by searching for players, I'll already understand what needs improvement. So I'll put here 18 to 30 years old. He's procrastinating. He doesn't want very advanced ages. 2 million euros. And height here, put a maximum ceiling here, 10, that's it. And when I put it and analyze and look for reinforcements, it will already tell me what those teams that were above Lazio did well. So this already gives me a diagnosis, right? That is inaccurate crosses, right? Lazio had 3.77, and the average of those teams was 5.93. So they to improve their crosses, right? Playa had 18.33 goal attempts in the box. The other team's 28.93. So the difference is very large. We're already able to see that during that period, Lazio struggled with effective entries into the penalty area, didn't they? Entry into the area with crosses, Lazio averaged 6.25, while those other teams averaged 9.80. Here you'll notice Lazio's weaknesses as compared to the other teams mentioned. And our AI here, artificial intelligence, already gives us some reinforcements that could improve these situations, right? It included Bodoglian Titizoles from Ciudad Brugge, Bejo from Dinamo Zagreb, Bejo Felgen here. Here, Parrot had a great championship, many goals, Kerry from PSV, Petaga from Monza, Midan from Azerbaijan, and Limaras from Trentino, right? So of course I included them in all positions. I could just include the fullbacks, place them here, right? I could have just focused on midfielders, wingers, fullbacks. I could have done that, but what I wanted to see here was this aspect, not the players at this moment. I wanted to see what the main weaknesses of Lazio compared to the other teams, right? We saw here long recoveries, touches in the area, shots against the right? To Wits averaged 12 shots against, while other teams averaged 9. While also accurate crosses, 11 to 16. So, let's go to the inspection graph. Let's take a graph here. First, there's one. No, I don't want this one now. Okay. Expected goals, shots on target and goals. So where is Lazio at this moment? Let's see. Lazio is here. Remember, the colored shields are the teams who are what they did, and the shields in black and white, right? The opponent's actions were in shades of gray. So Lazio is here. Lazio is expected. Goals are 1.24, and we can see that they're behind Genoa, Napoli, Roma, Atalanta, Bologna, Juventus, and Inter. Inter is very, very well positioned. Here they finish ahead of Torino and Sassuolo, Carlo, comfortably ahead of Verona, Cagliari, Pisa, Cremonese, and any teams that were considerably lagging behind them. So to get a little higher up, right? So if we look, Fiorentina, they are quite low. Lazio's expected goals are very low. When expected goals are low, what do we need to improve? Improve the finishing. The ball gets to the attackers more and more, clearly, allowing to finish more easily, right? So to improve expected goals, we need the ball to arrive in better conditions, in better situations to shoot. So we already need to improve that aspect. We need to improve crosses, intelligent passes into the box. These are situations we need to improve. So we need to look for players who have better crosses, better space in the box, better passing in the final third. So you'll soon understand what we need to improve, okay? Nevertheless, Lazio's positioning for shots within the penalty area is excellent, meaning their shots manage to reach the goal. So the higher up the ranking, the better the shots on goal, the percentage of shots on goal, right? And they would be among practically the top 4 in shots on goal, right? We look at the top here, it's 37%. Roma is doing very well, 39%. Sassuolo, 38%. Roma, 38% as well. Like 37 is very closely matched with Juventus. And it's actually a little better than International. Practically the same as International. That is, they are better than Napoli, better than Milan, better than Atalanta. There are teams that are above him. So the problem isn't shooting at the goal. The goal is being shot at, but the shooting conditions aren't good, right? To have the expected goal. The others are managing to reach the goal, but with little difficulty or with little difficulty for the goalkeeper to catch. So we need to improve the type of finishing. How the ball reaches the finisher so that it arrives clearer, so that he can shoot better and make it more difficult for the goalkeeper. Yeah, I noticed some very important metrics here, okay? So we need to improve the player who finishes, right? Player who crosses, the player who makes pass. So we've already noticed some situations here, right? Let's continue here. Let's go to the next one. Let's see what we find. Accurate crosses into the area and toxicity. This is very important, right? We already noticed earlier in that comparison that these are metrics that LAS doesn't do well. So let's find Lazio here. Where Lazio is, look, within a typical quadrant diagram. When discussing positive metrics, you'll find the top performing teams located in the upper right quadrant. Here, look at Juve, Inter, and Napoli, meaning that further to the right, the better they are on the x-axis. The x-axis here represents accurate crosses. So the further to the right, the better the accurate crosses. The higher up, the better they get into the box. And the bigger the circle, the more touches in the box. So Lazio is very poor in these situations. Look at the Lazio circle. It means 16 touches in the box per game. So it's practically the same size as Pisa. Pisa has 15 touches in the box per game. The team that was relegated to that only has 16. So we realized that the ball doesn't reach the box in conditions to finish, in conditions to pass, in conditions to control. They need to improve their situation. Accurate crossing, 32%. Atalanta, it's 39%. That effort percent seems small, but it makes an absurd difference up front. Because if the ball arrives in better conditions, for the cross arrives better for the striker to score, logically, there will be better conditions for the goal writer. Just like the touches in the area, that's it. Lazio's in a quadrant here. They're in a quadrant where they compete with LeBron, who are relegated. I don't know. Let me just check here. The teams are fighting for relegation, right? LeBron. Atalanta could be relegated. Relas and Pisa were relegated to Misa. So there's another possibility here between LeBron and Crema. So Lazio is competing in a difficult situation with the teams that are fighting down there. LeBron relegated. And where's LeBron Verona? Verona is, in fact, still better at delivering crosses than Lazio. So we need to improve the flanks. The guys who are there, the wingers, the fullbacks, we've already noticed some situations that Live needs to improve. Long turnovers. What are long turnovers? They are turnovers closer to the opponent's goal. That is, those turnovers in the final third, okay? And here are long recoveries. Long recoveries are also recoveries in the final third in aerial duels. Why did I create this one? Because when you get to the final third, where you don't have much quality, you're going to end up losing the ball, right? If you don't put pressure up there, you won't be able to recover that ball there either. We understand that when we manage to regain possession of the ball within the final third of the pitch, and we are exerting some pressure, we place ourselves in a much better position to score. This is because we can exploit a less organized opponent, thus creating a clear opportunity to score, correct? So let's see how Lazio behaves in these situations. Lazio is in the worst quadrant once again. Thus regarding Lazio, even extended losses aren't necessarily a bad thing, right? The player doesn't have many long losses. We have to go to the video and check why doesn't he get to the final third to avoid losing the ball. Where does he get there and actually get there with quality and doesn't lose the ball there, okay? So let's go. Along the x-axis we see long losses, this way. So Lazio doesn't lose many balls in the final third. We'll have to check this on the video for real. Thin data here alone won't give us clarity because these long losses aren't that many, right? In other words, either he doesn't get there well or he doesn't get to the final third to avoid many long losses. Or he really has quality there in the final third to get there. But then it's a ball out of play, it's a cross that goes out of play, and he doesn't lose the ball that often. Okay, they can finish, but they don't lose possession as often. However, their long recoveries are 8.9 per game, which is very low. Let's compare that to Mil's 15 recoveries. And if we later review the scouting data and observe these recoveries, we often find that long recoveries are typically followed by a shot on goal, don't we? Generally, a team there always deals with 4, 8, 9 balls per game in the attacking half and manages to get shots off. And with only 8 long recoveries, the chance of getting shots that way decreases considerably. So we see that he loses the worst team along with Kylerin Taleko. Kylerin has 8.92, making it the second worst team in long recoveries, okay? So, in other words, it's a pressure that doesn't happen in the last section. It may be that some lines aren't as close to the attacking line as the midfield line, okay? So, let's say you get to the final third. You cross the ball, the opposing team clears it, and if the midfielders aren't cohesive, they won't be able to recover the ball. That's why I included aerial duels, because after winning or losing that first ball, usually the second ball is an aerial duel, right? We have 46% of aerial duels here. Considering the size of the ball, we see that it's average, right? It's even better than Napoli's average. This falls in line with the average, so it's not too bad. In aerial duels, however, we need to determine whether these aerial duels occur during the offensive or defensive phases of the game. And that's where we have to use video analysis to improve the situation. But we already noticed some situations here that leave something to be desired. Here, it's more in the defensive phase, and we notice that the defensive phase isn't such a big role, but let's analyze this PPDA situation, which is passes allowed by defensive actions. Regarding defensive duels and short recoveries, then let's see how Lazio performs here. Lazio is one of the teams that allows the most passes due to defensive actions. If it's a team that doesn't apply much pressure, we noticed earlier that if there aren't long recoveries, it's because it doesn't apply much pressure. So if it doesn't apply much pressure, you allow a lot of possession from the opposing team. So this already matches up back then. The team that allows the most passes due to defensive pressure in the championship is Lazio. Is also the worst team in winning defensive duels, right? If it's later, Lazio has 58%, the second worst team has 59%, just 1% more. If we look at Atalanta at 63%, then it's already improving. Then if that's a team that doesn't concede many goals, it doesn't win that many defensive duels. In short recoveries or the size of the circle, you see that the circle is also small, though it doesn't have many recoveries in its defensive field. That is AUA. It allows the team to arrive, it allows the teams to cross, it allows the teams to shoot, it can't recover balls in its defensive field. Continuing here, positional attacks, set pieces and counterattacks. And here comes an important thing, it's the counterattacks. If you allow other teams to have a possession of the ball, it's usually because you want a lot of counterattacks. Let's see how the counterattacks behave, okay? Since the counterattack is the symbol, it's also the circle, right? So the circle is reasonable. So it's not that, I think it's average here, above average 57%, 50 a higher one here, 61% from Verona, which was a relegated team. So why doesn't Inter have as many counterattacks that Napoli doesn't have? Which are teams that propose more play, isn't that right? Inter, Napoli, Juventus. So these are teams that don't already have, there would have to be larger circle, right? It would have to be a little higher up, right? So here, for example, Cremonese is a little bigger, right? Which is the biggest team here? I think it's Torino. Torino is the biggest team here. The best team in counterattacks in the competition, right? Then we can see if I accept too many counterattacks, I have to and need to work on improving my counterattack strategy, or if I accept too much possession, I need to improve my counterattack. I need to find out what tactic Torino is using in this championship so I can improve my own counterattacks and make them more effective. And now let's go to the final third. I put here intelligent passes, right? Passes to the final third, and also precise progressive passes. See where Lassa is? L is here. So Dan Litton's already in a good quadrant here, at least in terms of accurate passes in the final third. The problem isn't accurate passes in the final third. They managed to achieve quality in the final third, but the intelligent passing isn't good, or the cross isn't good, or the pass into the box isn't good, right? So we see that they might have reached the final third with quality because they're at the top here in terms of accurate passes in the final third, 77.56%. Right? Which means they're on par with Juventus, Milan, and La Liga, above Napoli, above Atalanta, and above Como. But there's a catch, right? Why do some teams make more mistakes in the final third? Because they take more risks. They try those more through balls, that more intelligent space, and when you don't take as many risks, you end up increasing your passes in the final third, but you decrease your chances because you don't risk that pass, right? You just keep going around and around. You can't get to the finish. You see the size of the circle would be the progressive steps, which would also be 2%. So it's at an average here. You see there aren't many here. The Juve was 77. Then the Inter was 76 to Naples. So it's on the same level there with the Naples, right? With the Atalanta. So is there among the 8 best. They're practically there in his position to got it. Here we have shots from outside the area, okay, Okay, shots from outside the area, average distance of the shot. So we can understand if that expected goal might also be due to that, right? From Zimoto is outside the area, right? And offensive duels win. So let's find Lazio here. Lazio is here. So the further to the right, the better, or rather, say, the further to the right, the greater the distance to the goal from the shot, isn't it? Right? If we look at the other teams here, Juventus shoots from 17m, 6m. Lazio's averages, yeah, Mimro and Imer. So that's 2m more, 1m more. If I take the average, it's 2m more. 2m more makes a difference. It's already out of the area. At 16m, you start entering the area, okay? So Lazio's average shot is a little high, okay? It's among the 4 highest here. Only Lazio, Cremonese, and Napoli are among them. So it's among the 4 that shoot from the furthest in the league. So we can already see that the expected goal isn't just because the ball doesn't reach the goal quality, because of the long range shots, because of the Let's go. There you go. So here we can already see that the attack is really lacking in these situations, and we can get there, right? We can go here and analyze players and look for fullbacks who are better crosses, right? So let's take this, let's put accurate crosses. Okay. Now let's put accurate crosses here. Let's put it here. Where's the position? Position. Let's put fullbacks right and left in. Then here on the other axis is crossing. Crosses. Let's put expected assists here. If we find the expected ones here, expected assists, there. This already gave me an interesting graph, right? We can look at this up here. Lepes, Rames here. Let's put them there for. Let's put them there for our shadow team, and also for comparison. Luciano Juba from Bahia is very offensive. He's a very offensive player. Let's put the word for our Sheraton. Tetanes Roca. I don't know him well, so we can check later. Thiago Escao. Has this Thiago Escao played for any bigger clubs? Let's take a quick look at him here. Thiago Escao, let's put him here. Thiago Escao Roca. Hugo. Let's take a look at Thiago Escao here. I think he's already played for a bigger team. No, he hasn't. He played for Braga here, but he didn't play. Always at a Roca. So we have a player here who we might want to investigate for. No, look here. So here we only have a base to look at later in the video. Let's move G over there too. We'll look at players we have available. So the further to the right and the higher up he is, the better he's improving in both criteria, right? So even Fiorentina's own weaknesses are here, right? As we look around, we'll find interesting players. So that's what we need to do. After we notice the team's weaknesses, we'll come here to analyze them. Yeah, and if we put in wingers, let's put in wingers too, right? Hey, just put in wingers here for the sake of it. We'll still do this overall analysis, so the video doesn't get too long, right? So let's put in some wingers here. Baturina. Put in a few here. Let's put Baturina there too. Baturina from Mool, right? It's difficult to take Baturina out of there. Angulo from Toluca. From Toluca. Where is he? Angulo from Toluca. Let's put him there too for our shadow team. So if we consistently secure a viable palace, let's add one from Finord over there to match ours. And here we can still put more filters, okay? We can put them here, look. Here in the filters, right? I put at least 2 goals and 1 assist. So I'll increase it here to at least 4 assists and 4 goals. That will reduce the number of players here. So I want more assists. I want 6 assists and 4 goals. Then that already reduces the wingers even more. So I want the wingers who really give me goals, right? That's it. Let's see who appeared from Stuttgart. Mapa. And here's Angulo. He's still here. Look. Another one here from America, Mexico. That will give me players. Then I can go there too. I want players who have better shots, right? Have more touches in the box. Let's create a new one here. I want a striker who has more touches in the box, has a better shot on target, right? Let's look here too. Let's go to spreadsheet 2, right? We have here, I put strikers with expected goals, right? Touches in the box. I put that here too. Let me use those 1. Now take that out. Duels 1. Follow and put aerial 1 here. It will also improve a little. And shots on target here with a filter, right? I put at least 10 goals and shots on target 32%. Almost a third of the shots have to be on target. So who appears here? Alright, OT, a very good striker. Let's play the for our comparison here for Sharatin to Luke. While Roger from Bangladesh has appeared very well this season. Bejo has appeared a lot in these splits. It's going to take a look. Leon Dumelo has also been appearing a lot here. Fina Jr. isn't compatible. Jorge Flaco Lopez. Flaco Lopez is a good player. Let's put him here too. Let's put more here. Let's see who appears more here. Interesting. From Belgium, right? Union St. Gallen was very good. Let's put that expected 22 goals. Let's put that player there too. Where is he? Of course, after this, we have to go to video to confirm everything. It's no use just doing it with data. Player analysis isn't just about data. We compare the data and then go to the video to verify. Okay? We have some players here already, right? Our filter. And then remembering here, let's go. Let's put here first a fullback, right back. Let's say I want to go to the top 5 there. Sitting inside a margin of money that I reckon Ile is capable of paying. Let's look. So here will give me some right backs that I know. So there are some charts. It's always giving me options to research, okay. And then we can also test left back, okay. See what options are available. So everything here is what we can achieve through data analysis, isn't it? And we can improve more and more. Yes, I won't be going into detail here on the efforts, otherwise the video will turn into a 1-hour production, okay? This is to showcase the tool's potential and demonstrate how it functions. We anticipate that if Lazio's actual analyst uses this, they will find that it significantly enhances their ability to locate suitable players, wouldn't you agree? Improve their market. Having finished this task here, we can actually head over to the shadow team, right? Where we can drag the players we want, right? For each situation. Here's a 4-3-3. So supposing we have Juba, we have Raul, Esgaio was what again? Esgaio was a right back. Esgaio is a winger. The angle points to the player here, this one here, the line, I don't remember here. So there you go. And here we have a shadow team. Here we also have the model player. We can add a few players here to create a kind of ideal player profile, right? Supposing that in these comparisons, in this first comparison specifically, an absolutely exceptional player appeared, someone I just couldn't compare, for instance, to a cell phone. That would be Dorgo. Let's take Dorgo here and put him there to use as a model. And then I come to this model player and look for players similar to Dorgo, right? So here it will give me 10 players similar to Dorgo, am I right? That is young players who have similar characteristics to Dorgo, have similar medical characteristics to Dorgo, okay? I can do this with several players that I want to do. Then there are also multiplayer actions here, so it became varied here, right? But ideally, we should put players in the same position, comparing players that each of them has. You can improve the insights here, update the insights. You refine the metrics here, picking up to 5, and it will deliver the insights here, the ones I discussed earlier. For example, his expected assist rating is 15, surpassing his Gaio by 2. Also, in interceptions, Bartolina leads in this aspect better than Juba. In defensive duels, Pirouette leads in defensive duels, one better than Flaco, for example. And Barano's man clearing likely a fragment of a large ice. So here's some insights between these players we've included here, okay? So, allows you to do a broad analysis of the competition and the team, right? It was clear to us that nearly everything concerned needs to be improved, but the area that really requires work is the attack. I haven't gone to that part yet, right? We can choose some metrics here. Here we can see the evolution in each game. We can categorize games by home games, away games, wins. And here we can choose 5 metrics and generate insights. They will tell you which metrics showed deviations in the certain games, right? For example, this one here, right? And we identified 5 matches where multiple metrics deviated significantly from the team's normal pattern. These games represent tactical or performance anomalies, right? There are corners with shots, positional attacks, and aerial duels. Remember that I chose these metrics here, okay? I could have chosen other metrics to generate these insights. Then we have those functionalities of this tool that can certainly assist the teams in raising their performance. Thus, this series will feature content from Italy, including analyses of Fiorentina and Atalanta. So, please like the video. Additionally, I'd appreciate if you comment and let me know if you think there are any features I should add to this tool or any sports teams you'd like to see analyzed in a future video. There will be analysis of teams from La Liga, Portugal, the Netherlands, the Premier League, Germany, the Brazilian Serie B, and the Champions League. For example, Napoli. I'll analyze them in the Champions League and see what the deviation was there. There will also be more analysis of teams like Fenerbahce. There will be analysis of the teams like Brugge. There will be analysis of many teams so that we can go around the world and check if the tool. And because every time I analyze what Ushbo, because every learning along from what I'm saying. So when I say that the talks in the area depend, for example, on correct crosses, the next time I do an analysis, I'll generate the insight here, because here I generate insights, right? Here I generate insights, and when I generate insights the next time, it will tell me, hey, if there's flaw in the data in the area, it's because there are bad cross references, it's because there's bad intelligence passing through. So every time I do this analysis, the tool will learn and learn so it can give you better and better insights, okay? This tool will soon be available to you. That's why I'm also doing this series of analysis, so that this tool gets better and better, and in the future can give you all the insights. And of course, it will always depend on your analysis. The tool doesn't do everything on its own. The tool will give you insight, and you will have to verify if that corresponds to reality, okay? So that's all for this content. Thank you very much for staying until the end, okay? Now, if you made it to the end, please remember to leave a like there as well. Share this with your friends. Share it with everyone, so this tool can really take over the world and improve data and performance analysis for all teams. So, see you later.